Right amount of time.
Alright, hello everyone, and welcome to the review stream for the bottom half of Aubrey ZLTAC. I'm joined here with Dart and Exile.
Hey yo.
Hey yo.
Gentlemen. Perfect. So let us know, is our sound all good? Is it all coming through? And make sure that we can get our audio levels all set out equally at the start. Cool. Ready to get into this then?
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's
do
send it. Alright, perfect. So, first of all, quick look at how everyone was sitting throughout the comp. So, just to remind ourselves, a lot of the bottom teams kind of sat pretty equal, but then you had some wild movers, like Surge, for example, who jumped all the way up, and Aegis were quite up and down. Quackening started round robin good and then dropped down. So, yeah, just to frame it, if something to refer back to, kind of thing. Cool. Ready to get into the bottom team then?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. Okay, first of all, we've got this average worm, and to quickly explain that again, it is all these teams are in context to the lowest team at any point in time. So you have the minute marks along here, and at any minute mark, it's kind of where the average score was sitting throughout the comp. So if you look at the pink team, for example, which were Crows, so they have like a really high minute 11 and then they drop off in minute 12 kind of thing in relation to all the other teams around them. Cool. So we're starting off with the Order, who came 25th just as predicted, and they were the bottom riding team. So all team scores are in relation to the Order's score. But yeah, I'm sure there's a few reasons why they were riding the bottom that we'll get into now. So here's our team roster. What were your guys' thoughts on this team?
Oh, you go.
You go ahead.
All right. First of all, I have to commit it to this team. I mean, they had what 4 for the most of the comp due to sickness. Sicarius actually, holding this team together. Seemed a bit, down for most of the comp, but I have to give him. He's going to be my MVP for this team anyway, regardless, just because of the fact that he was able to keep so much composure and keep playing the game at a high level. I think, honestly, if this team had 5, I reckon they could have pulled up some massive upsets between the bottom 5 teams, including my own team, to be honest. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, these guys, they had it rough, right, with 4, like with sickness and stuff. They also like don't really train very often. They live in Wollongong, which is like an hour and a half away from Sydney, where we train. So they don't like get a huge amount of training, and especially Master Guardian coming on, is tough, right? Like, being a 4 and then also then going down to a core 3, it's just, I don't know, sort of impossible. I mean, we expected them in 25th, but like they definitely made it very hard for themselves. It wasn't fun. I think Sicarius did well. Like, he's obviously the better player. The stats say that, and he is the better player. He captained. I mean, all right. It wasn't like something to go home and boast about. Like, but like he handled them, I guess. But like they took 1 game off Quackening, I think, like on the last day where they got a second. That was like so hype. I was so happy for them for that. That shit was awesome. Like the whole lobby cheered. It was great. Like, and then every other game they came 3rd. Which again, like I would have loved to see them, like you said, Exile with 5, like see what they could have done if they had everyone turn up. But we just didn't get to see that, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's quite unfortunate. It's Spoonman, Collision, and XJ. They're all their first nats, correct?
Yeah, all the first nats. They all started about like November, October last year. So there's still like, I don't know, like 8 months, 6, 7 months. I don't know. I can't do math.
As fresh players from the start?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So
cool.
they're still basically league players.
Do you know if this team's staying together or not really?
I don't think so. And yeah, I don't think Sicarius is bringing any of these boys back. I don't even know if Sicarius is playing. Spoonman might, because he's got quite a lot of potential on this. Like for first year having a 0.85 GRC, while everyone else is 0.52, 0.21, and then I guess XJ didn't play, right? So he got 0.02. But he might be on a team. But if the Order do come back, it'll be very different to what it is now. It's like it'll only be like 1 or 2 of them left, or even just Sicarius. It'll be very new players.
It'll only be like 1 or 2 of them.
Oh.
Jump scare. But yes, any strengths of the team? I mean, they were playing with like 4 throughout the whole time, but I think there was some decent stuff in there, if you guys recall.
Yeah.
I remember. Yeah, you go.
Sicarius and Spoonman, like when they would go out and attack, like it was good. Like Spoonman is a good player, for like how new he is. Obviously, he's not a good player, but like their attack was strong. It was just they could never go out as a 2 because they couldn't leave the 3 in defense. Otherwise, the base would just drop. Like right, they sort of needed to have 1 in one spot, and that was Spoonman in attack and Sicarius in defense, I think. And again, just tough with 4. Like, how do you win? You can't.
Yeah. No, fair enough. We'll unfortunately move on from this team relatively quickly then, just because the story of the comp was they had 4 players, and it was tragic to see. But yeah, I noticed some good stuff even from just like reffing, like Spoonman, for example. He has like the hallmark of those like new Sydney players, where it's like very good fundamentals in terms of like lunging and stuff, but obviously like fresh everywhere else because you guys can't play team games. Who was everyone's MVP of the team? I think you already mentioned yours, Excel.
Yeah, Sicarius for sure, for keeping that mentality straight.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be Spoonman for me. Like, I don't want to be the. I try not to be like the basic easy pick based off stats, but Spoonman is definitely like the up and like the. I don't know. I don't want to like glaze him too much. Like his ego's already massive, right? But like he's getting there, right? Like for his first nats, it was good. And hopefully Sunny Coast, if he does come, it'll be much better. Like
Yeah, awesome. I'll throw mine in there, even though I barely played these guys. I think like Sicarius, from everything I saw and heard, he kept a very positive like energy, which is insanely hard to do when you have lost literally every game throughout the comp, right up until that last day. So honestly, like good on him. Very impressive captaincy there, just from like a mental perspective. All right. Let's jump on to 24th, which we had Kelpies also matching the predictions. So anything interesting about this worm, gentlemen?
Can't find them. Hold on. Oh, the red dotted one. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I sort of as presumed where they would like have, I guess, 4 eyes go out and like they have a little peak in the mid game and then they sort of fall off. That's what I presume it would be, right? It would just be 4 eyes like getting his 2 and then like someone else.
It looks like a good analysis. Like relative to all the teams around them, they have a really strong start game. The first 6 minutes are really good, and then they fall off really hard towards that last 6 minutes.
Hmm.
All right, so here are the stats. Go for it, guys.
I mean, 4 eyes obviously the carry, like as kind of a given, right? Like he was always going to smurf at this level. Like he's in bot lobbies basically.
Not
like,
always. We saw him in Bendigo, but no, without him being sick, a lot better.
Yeah. These guys are basically just spare parts, right? Like, they're not really a Canberra team. I guess like Lycan, Kaz, Nivier, Sauron, but the other 3 aren't. So I don't know. I always thought they were just spare parts, just like called Canberra. I don't know. That's my thought on them. It's not very helpful.
Interesting about Kelpies is they came 22nd at the round robin, and then I would assume due to the chat going off about it that 4 eyes did die, unfortunately, with sickness, and they kept 24th all the way till the end. So that does say that 4 eyes was the massive power player here, but even so, they still played a relatively good 2-3 from what I remember. With I believe it was Worthy and Lycan out on attack. I can't remember. Correct me if I'm wrong there, chat.
Lycan attack, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think so. From what I remember, I think I sat most of these games, to be honest with you. But from what I saw, it was just a standard 3-2, and they just sort of pushing an object against a hard wall, as you would say, Runt, trying to get those bases, and I don't think it really helped them that far without having 4 eyes there.
So 4 eyes died again.
Sorry?
4 eyes died in the comp again. He's having a rough run of it then. Like another case of sickness, was it?
Yeah, from what I heard.
Rough.
Even looking at like Worthy's like denied. Like he has 1.67 denied. Like what is going on there, bro? Like what? That's like Like 1.5
Oh.
denies a game, which is
I
crazy.
thought that was his base average for a second. Oh my god, I need new glasses.
Like he's getting denied more than he's getting a base, which I mean, I guess he's on attack, right? But like, goddamn, holy moly. I do remember a game against us where he had like 8 shots into both bases.
No.
And he just walked out after that one. It was a tough game to watch. I mean, these guys did like take some like much more games off teams that placed above them compared to the order. I do remember one game where they beat Crows. I'm pretty sure. I think.
Yeah, nice.
If I'm remembering correctly. Yeah, it was a Crows and Dingoes game, and they came first. I think. Yeah. And they got that game, which was pretty nuts. Like especially because these guys are obviously here for fun. They're not like trying too crazy, but it was a good win.
And Saren was a pickup, right?
He's a Canberra player, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is. Okay, my bad.
Oh, good. He didn't play that. Oh, yeah, he played 13, so
13 games.
about
Yeah.
a half, just like 4 hours, which, man, that's rough. Yeah, okay. It's a fresh team, but like I think especially if you look to like the defensive structure, any improvements you guys could look to?
Can't remember. I mean, these guys are like obviously here for fun. They're like not trying like too crazy, right? They're like sort of just chilling out. Like,
Yeah, I think the back half there's some definitely like development going on there. Like I think Kaz and Nivier are definitely looking to improve a bit. But yeah.
yeah.
Apparently,
for sure.
Saren was sick and then left halfway through the comp. Apparently.
Oh, that's right, man. All bad.
Uh,
This is gonna be the story for a lot of teams. Sorry to spoil that, guys.
Basically, I don't know. I like the most I can remember from attacking these guys' base was just like sometimes the comms just weren't there. Like sometimes I would sort of like sneak past and just dive last line, and no one would say anything, and I just shoot them in the back. That's like basically it. But that's just like sort of a weaker team sort of thing. Like sometimes comms are missed,
and it
It's
makes
just
sense
something to focus on.
because like Kaz is normally like quite a solid anchor for that rank was what I remember from versing her. So to see an OTR like that, it's probably like a fundamental like structuring and comms issue, I would guess. But yeah, anything from you, XL?
no, I'm sorry. It was
No,
6
you're all
minutes
good.
ago.
You don't have to have it for everything. Like it's a chance thing. But what we do have to have is MVP. Dart, who do you have?
I'm gonna hear me out here. It's Kaz, right? Because anytime I went to a door, and specifically in like red sweep, I have nightmares about this. I just couldn't win. I just could not win. Ever. Like I just die, and I'm like, I said that to Cool Beans, and he's just like roasting the shit out of me because I can't win. But like I generally couldn't get past her for some reason. Like the timing was crazy. I don't know. No one else experienced this. I'm just bad, I think. But like. I don't know. It was just crazy. I could never get through a door. I'd always have to just sweep and do it that way.
That's awesome. XR, what you got?
I'm gonna go Nivier. She got that medal for being like the most, was it Rookie of the Year? Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Doing lots of reffing, always positive attitude. Pretty sure she shot the crap out of me on a door and kept me down for 5 times. And I had to reload, and I was wondering why I was dying. I just couldn't see her. So yeah, I'm gonna give it to Nivier for giving the morale, the attitude, helping out when need be.
Yeah, nice. I'll just throw it in. I'll just go for us. Like always need to commend when someone's just very good at the game, and 4 Eyes was doing that. So yeah, let's go on to the next team, shall we, guys? So 23rd, we had Quackening down 4 spots from predictions. Anything to take away from this worm, gentlemen?
Be fun first.
The bright yellow one. Yeah.
Yep.
It's sort of similar, except in the late game they sort of take off. Like they have a very similar start to Kelpies.
I would actually argue they have the perfect medium start, medium everything. They are perfectly positioned within the middle of all teams around them. So probably the least interesting worm of them all. Let's get through that. All right, there we go. Plank obviously very high, but take it away, guys.
I mean, obviously Plank, right? Like he's a sort of, I don't want to say carry, but he carried the team.
Now we say obviously,
the points.
And I do just want to jump in and throw a straight bullet like I did to 4 Eyes. Hobart. Everyone was like, why is he so cheap? He earned that cheapness in Hobart. He got like denied like 4 times a game or something in Hobart, practically, and had a very low average score in TR. So I don't know what it is different about this year, whether it's the training or the maze, but he definitely was the carry, but he wasn't going to be the obvious choice based on his Hobart performance.
Yeah.
So good on him for pulling it through this year. I'd be very curious to know the factors in doing so.
I mean, he's also smurfing now. Like, I don't know what team he was on last year. I don't even remember like him playing in Hobart. Like, I don't know why. But I feel like I don't know. Like their attack. Plank was always by himself. I don't ever remember playing the Quackening and seeing him like having an attacking duo with him.
I second that. I actually do second that.
It was just him by himself soloing bases. It was odd. I mean, I guess it like works, but I mean, they're 23rd, so obviously it doesn't really work. So I don't know. It's very odd.
It's just a menace.
Yeah, I mean, the stats show he can solo attack. Like he can get those bases. Like he's got 1.67 average, so he's getting his 2 like almost every game. But I don't know, like if it like reminds me of like Olympus back in like early pre-nats 2, where like we were still very, I don't know, not really know our structure, not really know our positions yet. We hadn't really sorted out who's going where, and I was sort of just solo attacking half the time. Like that reminds me, it's sort of like how we were doing it. Thankfully, we figured it out before Nats, but I don't know. Surely there was like a second attack. Like I mean, their defense was all right.
I mean, I remember seeing BMW, Elmo, and either Tech Deck or Simeon defense, but I don't remember anyone being out with Plank whenever they took our base. So
yeah, it's
either they were on a reload and Plank just walked on through and said, "I'll give you $50 for the base" or something. Not sure. Just kidding. But yeah, I don't remember seeing anyone there. But when Plank had both, I do remember a 2-man attack, and it usually would be Simeon and someone else.
Okay. Yeah. No, I don't remember that, but that does make sense.
Plank just said
Sawdust is not on here as well, actually.
Yeah.
Did stand in, I guess. I don't know. I can't really remember much about these guys' defense. Like,
interesting point. Were they on base dump?
Probably not.
Sawdust got subbed in Cascade 2, I believe.
Yeah, that might have been my bad then. I might have missed the 7th player. I'll double check, but you guys continue discussing. So, yeah, strengths, weaknesses. What you got?
Weaknesses. They had a bit of an implosion. I think they benched Plank for a bit.
Yeah,
I believe. Quite a bit. And if you look at the Quackening, they were 19th in round robin, dropping all the way to 22nd, and dropping even further to 23rd, and then staying at 23rd. So they had a strong start. I'm not sure what caused the implosion or anything like that, but they ended up not playing Plank, which did make them suffer a little bit. And I mean, much love to all the Quackening guys, but I think that implosion pretty much cost you the competition in terms of going up further than where you should be sitting. Because you are a strong team. You shouldn't,
Now, checked out Sawdust stats not on base dump, which makes me think they might have subbed in. Was it on the very last day? Was someone sick on the last day and they subbed in there? Because it doesn't look like it was between round robin and Cascade.
It's on Torn, I think, but I mean, I think she played like 3-4 games. It wasn't giant.
Yeah. So probably another dead player to sickness. Was that the case? I'm guessing. I don't know. Someone in the chat confirm for us. Yeah.
I mean, Elmo's got 15 games, so
it could be Elmo.
A tell that.
And I'm pretty sure Brad was still also the BMW was still healing his knee or something as well.
Yeah. No, I remember that. I remember seeing him like limping around at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, like obviously the attack is good. With Plank, like they're always gonna have a stronger attack. It's like their defense and like I guess like pushing out and getting the pack points, which would struggle. I don't know. I think
I guess you'd kind of hope that if Plank could solo crack, he could at least just have someone like run in behind him and take the base, and you could use that as a structure maybe. But I'm guessing that obviously didn't work. Otherwise, they would have continued doing that. So yeah, curious on what happened there. Any thoughts, XR?
I mean, Plank's a fast player. I wouldn't be able to keep up with him. I'm old and washed now, so I mean, Brad's definitely not going to keep up with him. Simi could, but if they're not on the same like play styles, or they don't learn to play with his play style when attacking with each other, then it's just not going to work. Yeah, it's knowing the people you're attacking with and where you're going to set up your structures, as you were saying before. But yeah, maybe it was a bit of that, but I can't confirm that.
Yep. All good. Let's jump on to MVPs, shall we? Who have we got for everyone? Start us off, Dart.
It's got to be Sorgoat, honestly. That's the MVP of the team. Is just there when the team needed her, filled in the team. It was perfect. I mean, obviously Plank played the best. I mean, it would be such an obvious pick, right? But I can't really remember anyone else having like an impact on the game and really like allowing these guys to like get out of tricky situations. But Sorgoat has to be it.
Yep, go for it, XR.
I want to give it to Brad. He's the walking tyrant. You just can't. You like, oh, he's limping. It's going to be an easy door to crack. No, he just completely sits on you and just blackbacks you, and you're like, how is he doing this? And I'm pretty sure he denied me when he was limping as well into red base. That was embarrassing.
That's funny. That's
embarrassing. So give you some PTSD for that. So yeah, I'm going to give it to Brad.
Fair enough. I barely played these guys, so I'm going to be very boring again and go Plank purely for doing better than last year, although I am keen to see Plank somehow turn into more of a carry status on the team than and bump that team up, because if you're pulling those stats, you should be able to get your team out of 23rd, would be my thoughts.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's not on Quackening anymore. I'm pretty sure he's going to like go with Sharks. From what I've heard.
Interesting. I'm keen to see it.
Yeah.
I'm keen to see if he can keep up in the high level games then. Okay, let's jump on over to the next team. Okay, so we had Dingoes down one spot from predictions. Let's check their WAM. They were a defensive team, and they actually finished decently strong in comparison to the other teams. But yeah, here we go.
I have one very core memory. We did a lot of I forgot the word. Unallocated training. There you go. With these guys, like we played like 3 hours, 4 hours of unallocated training with these guys. So I actually know quite a lot about how they play. Bubbles is an abuser, man. He yells at this team so much. Like it was unallocated training, and he was ripping into these boys for being like the worst players in the world. They couldn't attack. It was hilarious. It was a fun watch. Olympus have so many stories about just Bubbles, like just being so mean to them and everything. Like,
nice, we're back to prime Bubbles. You love to see it.
Like, I get that he's in Elo hell, right? And he's sort of struggling, and out of frustration, he's like taking it out on them. But like, still, I feel like for the skill he brings, like he does bring up the team. Like obviously his stats are pretty good, 1.45 GRC. Like he's not bad. Like he's good, and we know that. But like, I think sometimes he can just sell the game by just like imploding a lot, and because he's the captain of the team, he's like the leader. I presume. I think Infused Junior might have been for a little bit.
Was captain.
Yeah, I think I overheard that, but I don't think it ended up going anywhere, and I think he gave it back to Bubbles after a bit. But I think Bubbles can tend to explode and then just have a comm breakdown and like it's tough.
I did hear that. Yeah, Finn's pointed out Battlebot was dead, and it sounded like he was like the most dead person in the comp, because past day one he was just gone, which is very rough to see.
That's tough.
Yeah. Now from this team, I think their scoreline was low, but this is one of the cases where their scoreline is low because they intentionally kept it low. It felt like they were an intentionally very defensive team. They would try to grind teams out and just punish their attacks until an opening late game, from my memory. But was that what you saw, XR?
Yeah, so they were basically more defensive, and then they would bring out the more attacks at the end. But although their defense was pretty solid, you'd think it wouldn't be, but it is. They was pretty structured. The comms were good. I can second Bubbles having a go at people, because I'm pretty sure in our last like Ascensions game when we versed them, pretty sure Bubbles was like having a go at Prince, and it was the funniest thing ever, and the ref was just laughing at him. But yeah. Interestingly enough, Dingoes were the first team to actually climb consecutively in the comp. So they started at 24th in round robin, went up to 23rd, and then went up to 22nd, and then stayed there.
24th at the end of round robin's rough. Like
Yeah.
that is a tough round robin. I don't know what happened there, but maybe they slowly improved, I guess. So I guess it's fine, right? But 24th out after round robin really shouldn't be where these guys are going. But it's good that they clawed it back, I guess.
Yeah.
Actually, these guys, because I did play 4 hours of unallocated training against them. I think they're Nexus players, right? They have Nexus in Darwin.
Yeah,
if I'm
that
correct.
sounds right.
I think so.
Maybe
their ability to shoot my phaser, like all 6 of them, was nuts. I would be so afraid to shoot at any of them. I don't know why, but like these 6 guys would just shoot my phaser consistently. Like no one else could do it. I don't know. Maybe it was because it was unallocated and I was still playing like it was H Pro.
Classic
could
H
be
Pro
it.
players. Oh my god, they're shooting my gun because they have Nexus. It's not fair.
Like,
Home side advantage again.
To be fair, Olympus had home side advantage this year. So no, I don't know. Their just ability to shoot my phaser was just like nuts. I didn't really notice it out of any other team, but these guys especially were good at it. And I just presume it's Nexus, or maybe they're just good players. But looking at the stats, I'd prefer
that. Oh man, what you got for us, XR?
I forgot the question.
Anything
To be
else to
honest.
add? I don't know.
Just-
Strengths, weaknesses. Like, why are they down in 22nd? I think is a very valid question to ask. They've all played multiple Nats at this point. I think. I feel like Prince.
It seems they had a captain change. Apparently, according to someone in the chat, Fuse was captain for round robin. Did stats change? However,
I thought so.
does anyone can confirm that changed? Did
I
Bubbles
believe
take the reins, or?
Yeah, who it went to is interesting. And yeah, they claimed a spot on the captaincy change, but yeah.
I mean, I don't think they played bad at all. I think it was just more team bonding kind of stuff. Yeah, cohesion. I just honestly, I can't remember. Honestly, all I remember is that Ascension's game. That's about it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, like 3/4 of my memories of these guys are just like yelling at each other.
Fair enough. Let's move on to MVPs and power through it then. Who have we got, Dart?
It's got to be Sputto. He was, I guess, the more chill one out of them all. He was really good at last lining, I'm pretty sure. He was the last line of this team, and he held it down. I also heard like just good things about him from like other players. He was just a good last line, and while everyone else was yelling, he was just sort of chilling in a base, shooting people. So it's got to go to him.
Yeah, he at least kept a positive TR, right?
Yeah.
Which I think might have been the last line we've seen with that so far. Maybe I could be wrong. What you got, XR?
I'm gonna go Tricky. He has gotten a lot better since I last played when I had my 5 years off.
I think Skinny Tricky is prime Tricky.
He is insanely good. First time I played him in like Hobart, went up to go and duel against him. I was like, oh yeah, I've got this, and he just black packs me, and I'm just like, bro, what's going on?
Yeah.
And I just continued to just go reload and cry in the corner. But anyway, yeah, he did that to me this comp too, and versing him in solos as well. He's Skinny Tricky is definitely prime Tricky.
I don't 100% back that pick because I'll obviously shout out Bubbles as well. Shot stuff good. But Tricky in solos was the most I was contested by anyone because he'd like stand in the spot that I wanted to stand and he'd shoot me from it. And I'm like, wow, nobody else did that. That's crazy. So yeah, Tricky put up a good fight there. I was worried he'd be in finals because he was harder to shoot than most people in that area. Because again, he took my spot. It was very rude. But yeah. Let's jump on to the next team, shall we? Alright, so we had aces. Yes, XR gets to tell us what's up. And you guys actually had an insanely high score line until that 11th minute when you guys hate winning. Wait, no, sorry, I misread the colors. Other way around. You guys like winning in the last 11 minutes. 11.
Yeah, that's a really slow start. Like up until the 5th minute, you guys don't really. I get more defensive, I guess. You guys prefer that.
Yeah, starts very middling.
Any insights on that? It's like, what's that about?
Look, I don't really know how to start this. It honestly, to be honest with you, I think it purely becomes down to training and how we train it. Because at home, I think we only had about 4 weeks as a full team that actually trained in RMAs, apart from the qualifiers. We got people from very far away that come down and played laser tag at Megazone. We've got people with jobs that work at night. I was injured because I'm injury prone now, so I'm old. So we never really had enough time. I know that's like not a good enough excuse, but that was part of the reason. Plus, we never really had any implosions, but we did have sort of a captain change in nationals, which was a bit weird.
You guys started off with Crow, right? Or ended with Crow?
Ended with Crow. It was mixed between
Yeah.
Wardy and Crow, and I think that's Wardy made that decision due to personal stuff from home and whatnot. I'm not going to disclose it or whatever. Nothing bad or anything. But I think that pressure of what was happening decided to, because his brain was just overloaded with other stuff. He didn't want to sort of take the main role. We had actually been training with, well, whoever rocked up at training, we were training with Wardy as captain. And then initially as me as vice, but that changed when we picked up our final sixth player, which wasn't very far away from nationals, which was Crow. And then we trained with Crow's lead attack and Warriors out with him as well, being the main captain, and it just suddenly changed. So I think that was part of our problem, not to mention the issues of not being able to train as a full team together. Out of all the Adelaide teams, we were the least trained by far. Other than that, I mean, we're all fairly solid players. We all get along with each other. So our team, if once something went wrong, it was only for a few minutes. Outside of game, we were all good to go the next time around. But yeah, I think that's the reason why we're down so far. We didn't expect to come as far as we wanted to. We were a pretty fresh team, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Now, Benny's pointed out something that I was wondering. Because I remember Crow, he's been this up-and-coming player and like usually very good around his rank, kind of thing. Quite dominant. From what I saw in game, he'd like drop his head and like just start walking around. But like that was a very high level game, obviously. So was it a similar experience in your games, XR or Dart?
Yeah, I'll have to agree with that. A lot of the times, I remember like even in the lobby, he always just looks real sad. I don't want to throw shade to him, but in the game, he looks real sad and sort of just like, I don't know, given up. He's like, well, we've lost anyway. I'm just gonna walk around for now. And I'm like, I know, but like, come on, like that's the best, surely.
I genuinely got confused. Like, I saw him like doing that. I'm like, oh my god, Preenouts to Olympus. Is that you? Like, he just fits so perfectly onto your team. It was crazy. He's got the same build, same mentality when losing. It's awesome.
Literally me.
He was a bit hot-headed. He did it in our doubles game too, but I think it was because of the main factor that we changed the team dynamics so quickly, and obviously a lot of pressure going to him taking over the games was something he was not expected to do, and we did not need to do that. It just happened. It ended up falling into his lap. And I think that got to him mentally. He is a good player, like he is a good upcoming player, but he does need to work on that a little bit. Love you, Crow, if you're watching, but yeah.
It's one of those things where you really want to see him like in a good headspace so he can perform at like the level where you
I think he's also
be.
been on teams that have been much more cohesively better together in terms of like playing longer. He used to be on OG Aftershock, and then he went to Anomaly and another team before that. But they've all been teams that have played together for a full year or like had 12 months of training, and he's used to where his role is. But now it's something that's just slapped in your face, and you're like, okay, just take it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Especially no training and then changing.
Yeah, and I think that's the main reason for that. And not to throw shade at Wardy or anything like that, but he's got a lot going on. So, yeah.
Sounds tough. found
Interesting.
stuff.
So, Exile, did you become an attacker this comp? I see you with like the highest base average on your team. Ish.
I was either
About the same as Pugsley.
Pugsley. Yeah, Pugsley got the most actually.
Yeah. So was Pugsley lead attack? Like, how did this structure out?
So the structure was the main structure. It depends on who sat the game. So it was either Pugsley in last line, which then changed to Vaughn, and then Pugsley and Keiki on the doors, depending if either Wardy or I sat. If Crow was leading the game, he would either take Wardy or Pugsley out first if I was sitting. So it sort of alternated. Pugsley's very good at his quick attacking, so if we needed to hit an enemy, like a team that we're going to have no chance against, get an early hit on them with Pugsley, then we would switch out the attackers. Because I'm old and slow, so.
Interesting. All right. I'll throw it to you, Dart. Any weaknesses before we move on? Anything you noticed?
I barely remember versing this team. I know I said it before we started, but I think we versed you guys like once, and like I just don't remember. I don't know why. This is like you and Aegis are the two teams I don't remember versing for some odd reason. But
they were too busy.
yes, I have
versing
nothing.
each
I
other.
have nothing.
Oh, good. Let's just jump to MVPs then. Who you got? Exile.
I'm going to give it to Vaughn. The reason being is whatever we told him to do, he just did it.
I respect
complaints,
that.
no nothing.
That's perfect,
and we he was lucky in comms, but then we decided to put him under, and he was a goat at the end of the competition, being our last line. So no complaints from him. Other than that, yeah, he's just a goat.
Yeah, nice. Dart, what you got?
Again, I can't remember, so I don't know. I don't want to choose Exile because he's here, right? That'd be too much. But I guess Wardy's always sort of been good at this sort of. I mean, not this tier of team. Usually he's like a little bit better. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm gonna go Pugsley. Pugsley was chill out of the arena as well. That's really all I remember was just out of the arena with you guys. So I'm gonna go with Pugsley just because he was like cool.
Yeah, nice. And it's good to see him stepping away from that last line role and like being able to attack and stuff and do both. It is always nice to see someone step it up in that aspect. I'm not afraid to glaze my boy Exile, even though he's here. 100% Exile. I think a lot of the time Exile is always like that really solid door defender and like always keeping the team glued together. But seeing him at top score for the team, that's a fun day that I haven't seen for a little while.
Funny enough, they're all off of Crow's denies. Not gonna lie.
That's the best way to get them. If you can put a shot into your teammate, even better. Alright, awesome. Let's jump onto Aegis. They are which worm? They are the blue worm, following a pretty low-scoring game. Generally, following the pack pretty closely, but a bit under the midline. Let's jump onto the stats and take us away, guys.
I guess I'll start.
Yeah.
These are the other lads and ladies. Yeah, look, they did well. They trained a lot together. A lot. I think they had probably the most training out of Adelaide, apart from maybe Aftershock. They were doing Sunday training, Monday training. They were doing game lobby training. Most of them were anyway. These guys had the mission to be better than people predicted them, which was a wooden spoon game. And obviously with the pickup of Moo, definitely propelled that out of the scenario. These guys played well. I did ref a couple of their games. They had good comms. I believe Wolfie or Moo were running the games, actually. It wasn't Pendragon. Pendragon was sort of last line from when I was refing their games. Which was weird.
SSG was last line as well at some point.
Yeah.
It was the start of the comp, and I think then Pendragon replaced SSG. Like, I remember going on a big rant about how SSG is not playing last line anymore, but that it was a whole thing. But I can't remember details.
Yeah. I didn't really talk to them much this comp. I just wanted to let them play their own game, not get in the way of them and all that. But they seem to have done very, very well. Definitely a massive improvement from last year, especially with this team. Yeah, that's about it, really.
Yeah, nice. In terms of Aegis, I feel like for me they're always a team where you'd always go, I don't know how they're going to come last. They have a team that shouldn't come last, and then they'd always be in the wooden spoon game in like every Pre-Nats and Hobart. So it's good that they're finally playing up a bit higher than that, and yeah, it's good to see. Dart, anything for us?
No, I don't want to be mean, right? But like, I look at the team lineup, and I look at Ace's team lineup, and I cannot comprehend it. I'm like, how did this happen? You know, like, I mean, what Exile said, they just trained a lot, and you guys didn't. Like, makes sense, but like, still, right? I don't know. I mean, they did well. Like, obviously, they beat them, right? They got 20th. I think this is the first team to be like above placing or like have like plus. I think. That
Yeah,
we've
it is.
talked
Yeah.
about so far. So it's good, especially like improvement from like the past, like just pre-nats as well, past years and recent pre-nats
Yeah.
is nuts.
I think to note with these guys as well is Pendragon and Wolfie are always having chats about how they can become better. They're putting that a lot of effort into becoming better players themselves and a better player as a team. I think that really reflected that this year. It's like they made them their life basically, but I mean it worked. Yeah, they're not wooden spoon, and those 1%ers have definitely worked out for them.
Exactly.
Cool. Yeah, I think Moo's obviously like a big pickup as well. But yeah, any weaknesses we noticed on this team?
Like I don't want to throw him under the bus. Gizmo taking random solo bases and getting denied was always funny to watch. But
Gizmo was the funniest coin flip ever because he'd just be taking the wildest bases. His whole team would be a blue, and you'd see him shooting green. And sometimes it'd work. Like genuinely, he was like swinging games crazily in that direction. But then the next game, he'd just randomly be getting denied 5 times in a row and just swing the games the opposite direction. It was so funny watching the Gizmo takes.
That is crazy having a 1.72 denied. Like that's crazy.
So
like what's going on there, bro?
That's why I said it. I mean, he did the Hail Mary strat, right? Oh, my team's attacking green. I'm just going to red and just trying to get a solo base.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, he was the most entertaining player, obviously. But he's obviously a bit too gun-ho. I don't know if that was a strat. If that is a strat, people can tell
Not
me
a very
later
good
on.
one.
I think Wax will tell you it's a strat.
Who?
Wax.
Oh, Wax. Jesus, yes. But I mean, it worked sometimes.
Sometimes it didn't.
Alright, let's jump onto MVPs then. Who have you got, Dart?
It's got to be Panicking. He's like, okay, hear me out. This guy, he had the domination streak on me at pre-nats 3, I think. Like, I don't know. He's just the improvement from what I saw like earlier, and then like at Nats. I mean, Exile could probably speak to this a bit more, but I feel like he got way better. Like, I mean, 144 is still not great actually on the solo ladder, but I think he got better, and I think that's what matters. I mean, obviously, Moo and Wolfie are like playing well, but I think Panicking like improved.
Now, was this the comp where Panicking got the like 10k in an Ascensions
that
game?
Was last,
that was last pre-nats.
Yeah, that was last pre-nats when he was on my team. Yeah.
How'd he go in these Ascensions?
I don't know. I didn't really watch. Oh, wait, no, I was playing them. Sorry. I don't remember, to be honest.
Okay, so I guess unfortunately a one-off for pre-nats then. I was really hoping that he'd just be like a 140th player on the solo ladder, and then every Ascensions he'd just go insane. But maybe not just yet. All right, who have you got for us, Exile?
I'm gonna go SSG. Reason why, it's tough being a door defender, and her TR has gone up massively, and she's not an easy target. She's using her walls better now. She's definitely improved over the last year. Even though she was last line for a fair bit of her comp, I believe, and until Pendragon took over, but her being on a door and still having that 0.99 tag ratio, especially as a newish player, is still something to be proud about.
Yeah, sweet as. I will quickly shout out Wolfie for something that Kat's put in the chat, which is very valid. Wolfie getting 3 players while tagging. I definitely agree. There were some really extravagant base text from him. But I'm here for entertainment, and who was more entertaining than Gizmo? So he's going to be my pick. I love the coin flip mentality. It's so much fun to watch for me. Would be horrifying to play on a team with, but for a spectator, he was making my day every time. Good on you, Gizmo. Let's move on to the next team, shall we? We had our Bears down 3 spots from predicted, and let's have a look at their scoreline. Yeah, actually, really weirdly low on that 6 to 7 minute mark.
Yeah.
Quite low off the bat, but it does pick up a lot in those last 2 minutes. And here we go. Take us away, guys.
I'll start off because I remember playing these guys. Like I remember the games we played against them. They're very, very slow, very low base game sort of thing. You can kind of see that with, I guess, their bases. Moldy obviously getting like the highest one is like just about like 1.2, which I think usually speaks to like how low base. Like I went back and watched these guys' games because I kind of forgot about them with like New Zealand, and it all came back to me. And like I remember them just defending and just me being able to do nothing. And I'm like, Moldy's just sort of sitting in the sweep constantly, shooting me in the back, and I'm just like, I can't do anything here. Like this is, it was painful. And then Dari, I think played last line, 1.21 tag ratio. That's last line. It was just really painful. They'd like the way they would defend, and then when they would go hit, which was like in the second half of the game, it was always like really piggybacky. Like they were always sitting in sweeps and being all little like hit, like Moldy and Rapid would just like appear, and I'm just like, oh well, I don't get the base anymore. That sucks.
That sounds like such a good structure for that maze.
Yeah, no, it worked really well. But they had like a really in the middle of the comp, they played really well. They took some games off like some like higher teams, and then they sort of fell off back again, which I was confused about. But I thought they were playing really well, in my opinion.
Because obviously, like I looking at the scoreline, like I think that's actually a really good scoreline to be able to shut the game down for the first 8 minutes and then grab those piggyback bases when the game opens up a bit. Sounds really good on paper. XR, any idea what happened in practice?
Look, I just remember Moldy shooting the crap out of me all the time in the door. I do attest to what Dart was saying, that they were just sitting in the sort of little nooks and crannies, waiting for a piggyback base. I remember that drastically, especially in the Ascension game that we did play against them. Moldy was just shooting me on the door, and then when our base went down or base was getting attacked, he'd just run in for a denial and just take it and walk away and give me a little smirk. But yeah. I think these guys like to obviously play a very slow game with Moldy and Rapid, maybe split 1-1, maybe sitting in the cracks, waiting for the opportunity to try and sweep in for that hero base. But I remember their defense being very strong. Couldn't shoot Dari for the life of me, I swear to God. You test to a TR, like 1.21 is crazy, especially for a door. Yeah.
Yeah. I think these guys. I think Trader was also running the games. I don't think Moldy was. I could be wrong, but he was down on the registration sheet as captain. So I think he might have been running games, and Moldy was just sort of outplaying like mid float and just doing his old thing. Could be wrong about that though, but it'd be interesting to see how like the team was different with Trader sort of leading and GCing compared to like if Moldy was, like you would have expected, right? That's interesting. I still think they played really well. I like am surprised of 19th. Like that was, I don't know. I just did not expect it from them. I think they could have done so much better.
Who was anchoring their games?
I'm pretty sure it was Dari. I think
Dari.
That's looking at the tag ratio. Like it looks like Dari, but like I don't know. Rapid and Moldy were attacking. Like Trader was like playing free.
They had a bad finals day. I believe you, and they would have only had one game in finals, right? Like they would have just gone straight out.
Let me have a look. Albers had, so they first game, second their second game, first third game, and then third their last game.
It was all right. Like it's not.
So they actually did go up a spot.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, wow. Interesting team. Again, from the outside, I have no idea what's happening. Yeah, I do we have any more insight? Dragon was saying that when they attack together, they actually got bases, which is a good observation. Could be
It's
the
always what
case.
you want.
Could be the case of trying to shut down the game too much in that kind of lower volatile tier where shutting down the game can result in like a bit more exchange of bases as opposed to a full shutdown like you want it to be. And when you're trying to rely on those 3k wins, volatility can kind of maybe screw that over a bit. But I don't really know. Anything else, or should we move on to MVPs?
No, I'm all good.
Yeah, I'm all good.
Let's send it, shall we? So Dart, who do you have?
It's pretty easily rapid. I mean, especially for like a first year rookie, like he did crazy in side events. I think he got like solos finals, he got doubles round 3, and then 4th in juniors as well. Like he was pretty nuts in the side events, and obviously like he was pretty good in attack. Like 1.16 GRC with like 1 basic game for your first year is also like pretty good. I don't know actually how long he's been playing because it is New Zealand, so he could be like a 5-year-old. Like, like it seems to just come out of nowhere as like a good player, like just making solos finals on his first year, which is like a crazy achievement.
Yeah, so for some context, Dari has been Rapid has been playing in their .in site for quite a while, a few years, not like an insane amount of time, but he was like winning, I think it was 2021 like solos in Dunedin kind of thing. So he's a very good pack on pack player, but they obviously don't get many team games in apart from invites.
So it's like sort of a Queensland rookie. It's not really a rookie, is it? It's like he's sort of been around for a while.
I think a very different style to Queensland rookies who have already played a whole bunch of games, which is why they're just like already really adapted to the game. Player. Yeah, whereas Rapid's more like insanely good pack on pack and very good at like shooting bases and stuff, but maybe doesn't have the games, and so similar, more akin to New South Wales, but like good at side events, I guess.
Yeah.
Go for it, XR.
I'm gonna go for the basic pick, Moldy. I always have problems with him. He always gives me PTSD when he shoots me. Just takes my base from my door, and it's always my fault. So, yeah, give it to Moldy. TR is good. I mean, not the TR, sorry, but he's very good strength-wise and cracking those bases. He definitely is the powerhouse of that team. It's just too good.
Yeah, for sure. I picked up Dari for the fantasy team, and she did pretty solid, but maybe not quite as much as I was expecting. I think versing her in NZ, she was like insanely dominant, and she's still seeing pretty dominant here. But yeah, as I've said that, I've changed my mind. Unlucky Dari, I'm going to go with Moldy for the simple pick. And let's move on to the next team. And we have Havoc, which is wild.
Okay.
Which is wild for me to see them down this low. They are down 3 spots from predictions. Their scoreline is perfectly average. A nice solid orange line to take out the middle there. So take us away, gentlemen.
Look, I'm not gonna lie. I think I only versed this team twice, and I'm pretty sure it was in Cascade 1.
Yeah. Okay. We played these guys a little bit more. I think we got like 4 or 5 games against these guys. And they're very, very slow, sort of Queensland, like newer Queensland, where they're just playing defensive. They don't really have like a big attacker. Like Peregrine and Stingray would go and attack, but I feel like it's almost the same problem where you couldn't have them two together. You sort of have to have one in lead attack and one in lead defense to sort of hold the team together. Otherwise, you're sort of leaving like the other 3 by themselves, which is kind of rough, especially them being like newer players. Peregrine did nuts. Like he was always a hassle. Like he would just sort of rock up by himself and just like be a nuisance and just deny me or something. And I'm just like, oh, what can I do? Very much like Moldy, where he just sort of appeared out of nowhere again. But these guys were really fun to play. I think because they fit my team Olympus's playstyle very well, where there was a very slow start to the game, very chilled. We were all in control. Everything was good. Like bloody crows. And it was a fucking nuisance. Just like dumping like every half second. Yeah, these guys were fun to play against. I really enjoyed it because they played normal. They were normal. And it was great. I loved it. It was actually good games.
A Queensland way of just play normal. We hate fun. Just play a normal
game.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think I also noticed these guys would sort of cycle the easier base. If they were in like a team with like a team harder than them, and then a team like that's their level or worse, they would just sort of get 5 of the worst teams base and just lock it down, which is really odd. I think I like look back at a lot of their games, and a lot of the time they just have like 5 blue and that's it. And then Peregrine might have like both bases, but everyone else just has they've cycled the weaker base and locked it down and played defensive, which like works, I guess, sort of, but like it can very easily go wrong.
Yeah, I think it works as long as that team doesn't dump. Were they dumping when that was
Yeah.
occurring? Less ideal, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they would have, I guess, but yeah.
The
I
thing
think
is, would they
tough.
have? A lot of the time, teams around this rank don't.
Yeah. I think so. It's something that we did at Prenats 3 as Olympus was just farm the easier base, and then we just got dumped on. And because we New South Wales, we can't like, handle
No,
that.
the consequences of our actions. I hate
Yeah.
them.
It sucked. It sucked. We got dumped on. Comms would break down, and like everything was over, and we'd just lose. And yeah, I think that's a risk they ran, but like I think it works for how defensive, especially they start the game as well. It means like the dump doesn't have enough time to like have a good effect. I guess I don't know, but that's one thing I noticed about them was that cycling of the easier base.
Interesting. XR, what you got for us?
Oh, I've drawn a blank, to be honest. I think, yeah, like I said, I don't think we played them that much at all. Obviously, Peregrine and Stingray out when Peregrine was both and Stingray had both. I think cycling that dumped base or that easy base, as you were saying, Dart, would be a good morale boost for your defenders. Because I know if I'm a door defender and I get a base, I know I'm doing good.
Yeah.
But yeah, you do run the risk of that base being dumped on, and you can kind of got to take a 50-50 coin toss and see if they come to you. But from what I did say, they did play like a normal standard game, as you were saying, Dart. I don't really have much else to say. I think their defense was solid, their attack was solid. Peregrine was running people through bases when he could. After Stingray had both, so yeah.
Yeah. Was it a Stingray Peregrine opening attack? Was that what they were running?
From what I remember.
Yeah, interesting. Dart, anything? Was that what you were saying as well?
I don't remember Peregrine and Stingray going out together. I remember like it'd be like Griffo maybe attacking. I can't exactly remember. I mean, like maybe it worked for them because, in my opinion, I think the two of them going out together would like sort of hamper the defense a bit. Like, anyway, they would always like start with 4, and then like Peregrine would go get pack, and then like Peregrine would like find something, go home, pull someone, and they'd go attack, and then go back defend again. That was sort of the vibe I got from them. Very like defending-ish.
Yeah, someone said in the chat, the players that play on this team were at heart defenders. Most of them were.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and seeing M's thrown into that offensive role is really cool to see. Because I think she was quite defensive in Hobart, but yeah, just been like, this is the best way to get a tagging experience, which is what you want on a team that seems to be primarily developmental. Like a mix of that, like, yeah, some of the old guard and some of the new guys trying to get some experience. So really cool to see some offensive stuff. Anything we can improve on here, or I think we've spent quite a bit of time addressing the one base, which probably was happening in some games, and I'm not too sure if any of us really know what was happening in the other games where they were done.
It'd be great to have Peregrine here. You could probably tell us.
Peregrine would have taught us so much.
Exactly.
No, we love XR for it. Let's go on to MVPs, guys. Let's go to Dart.
Although Ems is like improved a lot, like over the since Hobart, like since it started, like very rapid improvement. I'm still gonna have to give it to Peregrine because Peregrine just. I know I said I'm not going to choose a boring pick. This is my only boring pick I'm picking because the rest of them just defended. There was nothing. They didn't do anything. Like, right? Peregrine was very much the difference maker in this team. He was the one like getting the bases and then getting other people through bases when they were not 5 home, right? I think without him, this team would look very different, and they'd struggle on the attacking side. So I think having him really allowed the team to do well, which I guess they didn't because they got 18th. Right? So, I think he was the biggest difference maker on this team by far.
Yeah. Go for it, XR.
My mind's leaning towards Cheetah because every time I did see her play, she was doing really well on paneling. I think I saw her in the last line a lot as well, and she seemed to be pretty fast at switching and actually winning those duels, dinging those people's phases. But I didn't really see the rest of them play apart from Peregrine, but I don't want him to pick the boring picks. So I'm going to go for someone completely that I saw more of, which was Cheeto. So, yeah.
Also, Cheeto is ambidextrous. I didn't know about this until my law game with her.
That's why I said
like, swapped it around. I'm like, what the hell, bro? I have to verse a left-hander now. What is this? It just caught me off by guard so much. I was so confused. So confused.
Okay, I will go for Peregrine because I think if he played like more solo, he could have definitely topped the solo ladder. Like he could have crushed these people around his rank. But I think it's kind of shows that he was playing to help develop players and run his team through bases and that mentality, which is again very commendable. Yeah, I think we move on with that. Let's go on to Heretics, who are up one on predictions, and the scoreline was. So these were the ones who had a really strong 11th minute. And yeah, started quite slow and then picked it up with like exponentially throughout the throughout the game. Go for it.
These guys are the ops, man. I'm not gonna lie. These guys are the absolute ops. I don't hate them. I hate Heretics, and I hate playing against these guys. Okay, you ask anyone on Olympus, these guys are like the mortal enemies. Like, it's just so annoying. Like, to be fair, at the start of like 2023, back in like qualifiers 1 in Sydney, they didn't know back door from front door, right? They were pretty lost. I mean, to be fair, it is the Code Red Maze. Like, I won't blame them. But the improvement from then to now is like so visible. Like, playing them back then, they were just league players. Especially Skyros. Skyros has improved so much. It's nuts. He used to be like just a league player, and he's doing solo attacks and getting his 2 right now.
Yeah, against decent teams, I would add.
Yeah,
like, genuinely very impressive.
It was nuts, but we couldn't beat these guys all year at all. It was tough. I think before Ascensions of Aubrey, we beat them once. I think at like pre-nats 2. We beat them once, and we came second and they came third. So it wasn't even really a win. Like, yeah, we just could never beat them. It sucked. That's why we hate them. Although in Ascensions we absolutely smoked them. I don't know what happened. We just woke up when it mattered and started beating them, and we're like, I'm not complaining. I don't know what we changed, but it worked. Yeah, that's just my beef with them. That's all. I'm done now. Don't worry.
Go for it, XR.
This team. They actually have a previous Adelaide player on this team as well. So
previous.
Still, no. Previous, I mean, for the year, right? So, yeah, playing these guys pre-nuts 1 to where they are now is definitely a different story. A lot of people underestimated these guys, and these guys have definitely improved in many ways, shapes, and forms. Skyros, obviously, I know, boring. Is definitely the powerhouse of this team, especially with the pickup of Celery, which really did marinate that together.
No, I'm just going to be really toxic and pull apart your sentence structure there. Skyros is the powerhouse of the team, especially with Celery, saying that he was especially better than Celery.
I mean,
that's fine.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, out of the actual Heretics team, Skyros is the powerhouse.
Yeah.
Celery is the A grade sub that came in and made them even better. From what I saw, obviously just the standard 2-3. From what I remember, I didn't really play these guys that whole much because they're obviously so far ahead. But their defense was solid. Fizz was annoying to get out of last line, I can tell you that. Skyros is just, you could say home set advantage, but that definitely worked towards the end of the comp. And yeah, he's just insane cracking those bases. And he can move as well. For a bigger person, he can definitely move. But other than that,
These guys were also very defensive. I know I said this before we started, but 5 out of the 6 games we played against them, they were on blue. And they would just hold like not a 4D, but they'd have one on each door, one last line, and then one like in the sweep, just going to whichever door's busiest. And that would usually be like Todd. It was just very hard to crack. I think these guys really countered the way Olympus played very well. I think obviously it's the home site advantage. Yeah, it was cringe, but it's true, right? Like they were more knowledgeable.
You've had 3 pre-nats and a whole ass nationals.
There's still.
Is
I'm coping, okay.
Can't
I'm
say that
coping.
anymore, Matt. You
It's
can't
the
say
home
that
side
anymore.
advantage. No, but celery on front door, man. Front door of blue was like so annoying.
yeah, the home site player. Goddamn celery.
Kevin can attest to this, but celery was just the biggest up. He would
I
just
fully
always
agree.
be
I'm
behind
just
us.
shitting on your home site, Cope. Anyway.
He was just always behind us whenever we went on attack. He was always just farming us. It shows in the domination stats. Celery had a dominate. Was my nemesis and also Cameron's nemesis. He was just always shooting us. It was tough, and that's why.
I think we need a separate video of you just beefing up
Heretics.
I love how they've been mortal enemies of Olympus this entire time, and then they pick up Celery, who's specifically been 2 of the Olympus players. Perfect pickup.
It was tough, man. These guys. I'm just glad we beat them when it mattered. Otherwise, I would have been so upset. We walked out of that game, that Ascension's the double knockout game. I looked at the scoreboard. I saw we were better than Heretics, and I just sighed. I was like, "Thank the Lord."
Which is the worst mentality you could ever have. But yep.
I looked at the scoreboard. I went, and I just went and got a drink of water and sat down. I was like, "Thank God." I mean, we were like 500 points off getting 15th and beating Crows, but I did not even cross my mind in that moment. I was just like, "We beat Heretics. We did it." It was so much relief.
The only bad thing I can really say that I personally saw was missed door comms. Like it was very apparent when someone would go through a different door and Fizz would get shot in the back, especially at blue. I could say who it was, but I'm just gonna do it. Varsity, you need to get better at comms, bro.
No, that's true. That's true.
It's constructive. It's genuinely like that is genuinely good advice. Some people need a bit of pill. Yeah. Keep going.
That's basically it. I mean, I'm just gonna pick on him because I always pick on him, even when we're out the rivalry.
Now, do we have any team-wide things to improve, weaknesses, that kind of stuff?
Stop beating us. I don't know. Stop being mean. Oh, it's a cat. Okay.
Bench Skyros.
Yeah, that'd be much
for
easier.
Olympus's sake, basically. Just overall defense. I mean, Fizz is a solid last line, but missed door comms. Positioning as well. I found I could get when I was out when we did play these guys. I think we're going to play a couple of times. Most of the door defenders were on not panels or not paneling, just standing out in the open, just twiddling their thumbs. I used that time more promising, maybe tell you last night you're going to push out, get some points, but if you are getting attacked, try to not stand in the way of people's lasers so you get shot easier, if that makes sense. In other words, use cover.
Yeah. I think the stand in the open strat was something that often works really well for Todd, but here, he's normally quite strong for this team, and to be below 1 TR without an insanely high base average, you do look to Todd and wonder what happened there. I think he might have been sick, but
another thing. At the end of the comp, I think the start of it, he was fine. I mean, it was still a really rough comp for him. Usually he is just like a turret, and he just sort of kills anyone that tries to shoot him.
Yeah.
So he just had a rough comp, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, and I will unfortunately point out too, which is honestly true for most of the teams below this, is the anchor stats. You should have someone on a high TR. For an anchor to be on 0.83, that is very rough, and I think some of the time the teams try to hide players in the anchor role, but it's such an influential part of the game. So sometimes you might need to dedicate someone who might be a good door defender to it, just because it's so influential, and an inconsistent anchor really, really does like upset the structure of your team. But yeah, I think we'll hopefully see more focus on putting like prominent people in that role in years to come. Let's go on to MVPs though.
I mean, I already mentioned it before, but it's got to be Skyros. Like his improvement and how different he is compared to like even a year ago, like it's just nuts. Like I remember seeing him for the first time, like coming to a Code Red comp, and like it was just, he was not good at the game, man. He was lost. He like couldn't do double L's, like that sort of thing. Like it was like couldn't hold the sensor. Like I don't know. He's just nuts now, man. I don't know what happened. I don't know what they fed him, but he is improved and still is improving. It's nuts.
Yeah. Go on, XR.
I'm going to give it to Celery for literally being picked up on. Oh, sue me. Sue me. Just for basically coming onto this team and gelling pretty well. I mean, he's got good stats. Yes, I know, boring. Thanks, Dart. Yeah, I think he played overall pretty well. I believe I first met Pre-Night's one, and I was like, who the heck is this guy? He keeps smashing me. So this will just echo that. And plus, he's an overall powerhouse. Not the best on Heretics, though, Runt.
Yep. I think I want to speak to Skyrus's improvement because it's a really weird journey of how does someone on a low tier team that plays like a league team with a few comps become someone who seems to have like good game sense and like really oppressive cracking bases and taking bases. It's a very impressive quick development cycle with not too much guidance or team games in the Aubrey scene. So insanely impressive to highlight that, I would say. Obviously still a lot of work to go, like still running like a 0.93 TR, you're going to be getting carved up out there, especially on attack. It is what it is, but to step up the game, that like obviously needs to improve. But specifically because you guys are still sad about it, and that makes me so happy because Celery was goated literally ever since Pre-Nats 1 on that area. We're like, that seems like a Celery area to play, and he's still dominating it and making people shout him out for it. So I love that Celery is still working that front door blue so well, so he's going to get my MVP status. And with that, let's move on to the next team. We have Olympus up 6 spots. They're finally not a disaster. It's insane. It's come around full circle. I can finally talk positively about you guys properly. It's good to see.
Oh, thank the Lord, man.
With a generally overall very high scoreline and a decent finish as well. Let's go on to the individual stats.
Wow, Dart is a really good player. What the hell? Yeah, I mean, we finally figured it out, right? I could go into detail, I guess, but it was very much changing where Wildcard plays. Changing him into last line compared to as a float or a 3 where he was before, which sort of kicked Bluely out of last line because he was sort of playing there before. But I think like I don't think he was too happy about it. He definitely prefers last line as his position, right?
Get that man back on a door. I was telling you guys from the beginning, get that man on a door.
Yeah. Yeah, so it basically meant Zach would go in last line and we would co-captain. So whenever I was out on attack, I would GC, right? I would call what to do, and then I'd come back, I swap with him. If you watch our VODs, you can see me come into last line, stand behind him, and give all the information I have, and then he'd go out and he'd GC. Everyone was very confused when they found out that Zach was the captain in last line, but that's basically how it worked.
That is actually a very impressive capacity to transfer information like that, and I think it's clearly paid off. Is that ability to play your captain where they're most effective and have a team structure where you can work around that. And it speaks to the effort that you guys have been putting in over the past year to be able to have like very complex structures. That's probably the most complex captaincy structure we've seen on the entire ladder, and for that to pay off is very commendable.
Yeah. Except when there was like a low base game, I would just never come back. I mean, It pissed Zach off a lot. I don't know if you guys were ever at a com. He was always having a whine about it.
I will echo that as a weakness initially, because you need to be bloody talking to your captain. You need to be talking to them at least. Keep on doing the same thing. That's fine, but tell them what's going on, my man.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely fixed, but at the start of the comp, I definitely struggled with just tunnel visioning and just going, I'm attacking the base, I'm gonna get the base, and come back at minute 10 and be like, hey, we got nothing, we got to dump. Like, but it definitely was fixed, so that's fine.
Cool. XR, what do you have for us?
I honestly don't remember playing you guys at all, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't remember blessing you guys either. Like,
I believe we probably played at least 3 or 4 times, but
must have.
I mean, I thought Wildcard was your captain, like your main GC, but obviously you were out first. Obviously, relaying that information, switching halfway through. What caused you to decide to do that? Obviously, as Runt said, that takes a lot of skill and faith in between each other to do that. Captain, like switch the GCs over.
It was very much. Well, we had to change something up from Pre-Nets 3, right? Like, it was a disaster. Well, like, this obviously isn't going to work. Zach has been wildcard. He plays like last time. He played last line on Rampage. He sort of, that's been his like position on the higher tier. I wouldn't say he's exactly proven himself there, but he is a good last line, right? He's better than me. So we're like, stick him in last line. And then we were like, well, who then captains? You can't captain from last line. It's a bit goofy, right? I just like, I'll just lead attack and like GC and then come back, give him information, and then he just replaces me and we just keep attacking. I don't really know. It was his idea. Like, I didn't come up with it. It was that one Canberra training comp. We came up with it at the end of the night. We like sat down outside of the door to the lobby and just sat on that like ramp and just talked about it, and then yeah, that's just how it came to be, I guess.
Okay. Because I don't really remember playing you, that's why I asked like why that came across. I think that's a good like little thing to sort of sit down with your team and work out what's not working, what is working, and obviously you guys, flipped the coin and jumped 6 spots, which is crazy from where you were predicted. I remember when Aegis beat you in Pre-Nuts 3, and look where you've become now, which is where it matters, right? So it matters now. I think, are you guys staying as a team?
Yeah, we're gonna have a very similar lineup, pretty much. Yeah, which is good because I think we can do much better.
Yeah. If you guys keep that up, then I can't wait to see how far you go now, or top 10 maybe.
Yeah. So keen. Overtake Rampage. We're only 3 off this time, right? So.
Where are we up to? Weaknesses of the team. What do we still have left over? What are our remnants?
I mean, obviously, I know our weaknesses all too well. Is just getting dumped on, losing control of games.
All right, let's go in my book.
Yeah. It was just tough. Like, especially like with the way we had that co-captain going on. If we got dumped, I'd come home and I'd like try and talk to Zach, but we have a team on us, right? I can't like have a conversation and be like, we should do this. It's like, no, there's like
one of you just needs to send something, or like fully just come home as 5 and just shoot him until a base drops kind of thing. But yeah, interesting. Anything else?
I kind of don't have anything because I don't remember playing you at all, to be honest with you.
Yeah. It was just very like, especially when we got into Chaos, it was com breakdowns. Me and Zach like would be like, look at each other and be like, what do we do? And neither of us would sort of really know. And then we'd sort of go do something, but it was half-hearted. It wasn't like with conviction. And then, it was sort of then we just lose and we go, oh, we just got dumped on again.
Yeah. I guess with that co-captaincy, you guys just kind of need to both fully have the keys and both fully have the capacity to make decisions and assess it after the game, maybe. But it's an interesting structure that not many people have to contend with those facts. But yeah. Let's go into MVPs, shall we?
I don't know, man. That dark guy.
Picking himself. That is the first time someone's picked themselves. No, it's done. XR, go for
it. Just because he wants all the ego, I'm going to pick Dart. So. For no reason at all.
Look, Dart was on here to make it spicy, and I love the ego. Let's go for it. And XR, why are you back in Dart?
Just because of his ego.
Respect.
I want
And
to talk
it
about
makes
everyone
you
else.
it makes you so much
No.
better of a person because he wouldn't pick you either. So it's a really nice juxtaposition there. Good on you, XR. And Dart's a terrible person, but that's why we have him here. That's what the people want to see.
It's all bad. No. Trav was so like genuinely, Trav was actually really good on the team. Like he was an amazing like door
He's backing
defender.
out now, man. He's
He
backing
was,
out.
no, he was great. Like you tell him what to do, it was perfect.
Yeah, we can still have him compliment people. He's already picked his MVP, but that's fine. I have nothing but praises to sing for so much of this team. Again, like Trav was going so well. Like, yeah, we saw him in anchor a lot while commentating. We saw him like get bases. He was genuinely very impressive this comp. I'd say so was Cool Beans. I'll probably go to the extent of giving Cool Beans the no, screw that guy actually. But he got a lot better. He got way better over the course of like a few weeks, which is really good. He was like cracking bases solo, yeah. Like he was actually making plays on attack, and his TR wasn't suffering painfully, which is really good to see.
Just got
But
to work on not getting denied when he does crack the base. There's, a lot of denials. At least that I remember. Hold on.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think you're just getting worked up about that because that is some of the lowest denial stats we've seen of any attacker at all. Like none of you guys even have a 1 denial stat. What are you guys doing? Where are the sends?
I don't know, man. If you watch the VOD, like in the first 30 seconds, he just has one shot of the eye, like at the start of the game.
Yeah, that is very dumb. I cannot back that. Good stuff. But my MVP pick will go to Wildcard. I am genuinely very impressed with the structure that you guys set up and that he set up as captain. And to know, like, hey, maybe I don't need to be lead attack as a captain, and maybe I can defend, and we can still figure out a structure that'll work for the team. Really impressive stuff. And very keen to see whether this team can go because you guys have always been individually very good players. I remember versing you the first time we got to Aubrey, and we're like, oh shit, this is. Does this mean that it's actually going to be harder for us at the top end because like these guys aren't easy to kill? But no, I think you guys are just generally very good pack on pack players, and yeah, it's good. You guys were only held back by being an absolute disaster. So not that for the first time ever. Love to see it. And let's move on to the next team, shall we? And we had Crows up 2. These guys were the ones with the insanely oppressive scoreline on that back half of the game. Could anyone guess why that would be?
They dumb.
And then one of their players gets denied to shit in the last 30 seconds. And I think that generally backs what we were seeing on cameras as well. But usually that wasn't enough to drop them below because they still finished 15th, which was quite a solid performance for this team. Take us away, guys.
You go first. Yeah.
It's Crows. Yeah, this team, I read a few of their games, and it was fairly interesting. They would not dump right off the rip unless it was a game they were going to lose completely. I believe it was, from what I remember, and they can correct me, and probably some of them are probably, Finn's in the chat anyway, so Finn would know. It would be Nickel going out to sort of scout out what's going on, and then taking, I believe it was that guy out, from what I understand, from the high base average. Is that right? Oh, we've gone. Okay, we've gone. Okay. Cool. Yeah, anyway, all I would see from, because I used to ref in the middle of the maze as a Romo, well, I'd see from, especially from Green, Nick would go out and have a look, scout out, and then he would take someone out, get a quick base, go home and see what's happening. And then for some reason, they would just dump and win the games. And it's just classic. Yeah, I know. But Nickel's ability to sort of grasp what's going on and then pull the team out completely and just go, okay, we're just going to go hit this base and get 5 bases. Then we're just going to go home and see what happens. And then we're going to go home, go to the other base and get 5 more bases and just win the game. I remember them leaving a couple of games with just 2 defenders. It was Angel and someone else. I believe it might have been Dranica, maybe, or Cornetto. I remember attacking those bases and I could not shoot them for the life of me. And it was a 2-man defense. And we had 3 attackers and we couldn't even get in. So props to those guys. Other than that, I don't remember much else apart from, classic Crows dumping, but they still win games, so why not?
Yes, it works. I mean, to continue on what you said, when they do defend, like when they do actually play defensive, they are very good at it. They are very good at defending. I don't know why they're like this. Like you guys can just play normally. You're good at it. Trust me. But yeah, when they were defending, it was a tough time to actually break that base. I remember that guy in like Red V under like in that shooter spot, I guess.
Yeah.
Being a pain in the ass so much, like just not being able to kill him. Especially in Ascensions when they were playing slightly more sensibly. I just remember them being very tough to crack. I mean, like, yeah, they are more dumpy. They're more 4-man hits sort of thing. The thing is, I think they cause a lot of chaos and they have like, not exactly com breakdowns, but they sort of get lost in the sauce sometimes, but I think they get less lost in the sauce than the other teams do, which is like, it's such a weird way to put it. I don't know, but you know what I mean? Like they still sort of sometimes struggle, I think, but especially with Garn and Dragon and then like Nickel, they sort of have that experience to just sort of put a foot on it and just like, what is that? Sorry, I just looked over my screen for a second. That was hilarious. But yeah, they sort of just have more experience.
Someone did a thing. Nice. Sorry, we got a subscription or something. I just got hyped. Go on with what you're saying, Dart.
Yeah, I think with that more experience, they know what to do. They're calm in the chaos, right? They can sort of control it. Nickel, I do have one thing, a very core memory that is throughout all the pre-nats and all of nats. This guy just needs to stop shooting bases sometimes, man. It is crazy. 1.45, while the rest, like Garn, is also sort of high. But like, he's literally Sisyphus. What? I can't talk. Sisyphus. Like, he needs to cut his losses at a base sometimes, man. Like the amount of times, like he's like tilted at like front door blue, and he's just running in, getting 2-shot denied every time. Back out, 2-shot denied. I'm like, cut your losses, man. Like, what's going on? Like, it's tough to watch. And then he gets tilted, and then the team sort of gets tilted as well, and it's tough. I think a lot of people would have saw that as well. And it's like sometimes I think he just needs to take a step back, sort of collect, go as a team, maybe pull a third, and then try again. It's just tough. It's tough to see.
Yeah, base average is up at 1.25 for both Garn and Nickel, which is solid for the amount of denies. Not amazing, and I think you can see the contrast between that guy on only 0.76 denies with a higher base average. So you can see, hey, maybe we don't need to send quite so many shots in and we can still get the same results, but yeah.
Yeah. Garn was always super surprising. I don't know. He looks like an old guy. He looks like 60 or something. And then he's like actually good at the game. And it takes me off guard sometimes. Sort of like Master Guardian with his timing sometimes. I'm like, oh, it's easy. It's just like Master Guardian, right? And then he like out-times me. I'm like, oh, I gotta lock in here. Like, I don't know. He's very deceiving. He's actually really good at the game and quite agile for I don't know how old he is. I don't want to know. He's on the older side, above 35. You know,
wow.
It's just very deceiving.
A very risky age guess as above 35 when the guy's been in Masters for many years. That's a brave pick of you.
Yes.
Weaknesses now. What have we got?
I think although they're very dumpy, that sort of has a skill ceiling to it. Like you just can't do that to better teams. I guess Dragons do, but Dragons are different. Like this team can't, if they want to like break into the actual high tier and actual like top of mid tier, which I guess they are sort of top of mid tier right now, but they do want to like break into that. I think they need to not rely on the dump as much. You know, I think they need to like, there's a reason why a lot of the high tier teams are slower teams, you know, like slower, more packy teams. I think like you got Eclipse, you got like, I don't know, Archangels are sort of like breaking into top tier, mid tier, like they're sort of more dumpy, but I feel like you need to have that more defensive thing to rely back on and not just rely on the dump every time, because I just don't think it works like in high tier.
Yeah, I think if you played a very, very like a 4-man defense against their dump, I think that throws them out of proportion, right? So if they can sort of learn not to dump when they're down bad, or maybe if, you know, Nickel gets denied a lot and he's thinking, oh crap, my team's down, we'll dump and play against a 4-man, then that kind of stops them in their tracks. But because we've got these lower tier teams, not able to play against the dump properly, not yet, or the experience is not there, then that's the reason why they can snowball those games. And if they definitely want to go up high, which I do see them going, I mean, it's a good core bunch of players there.
Sorry to stop you there, but what is that noise? It's like something really funny.
I guessed it was Cameron under the desk. What's going on?
No, he's not here. Did you know? I don't know. It was just I don't know what was going on there. I don't know.
What
Now,
noise?
I don't know.
Okay. I think we're good. I think.
Keep going. Sorry,
I've lost my train of thought now. Anyway, schizophrenic. I think want to push high, even though they got 2 places above, which is fantastic. You always want to see that in a team. They're playing a core 3-2 and sort of sticking to that point would be my suggestion of improvement. Instead of relying on the gun.
Yeah, Kat brought up an interesting thing where apparently they only dumped 2 games up until finals, which is, I'd believe, a lot of the time we can get tunnel vision on these reviews because we played them once or twice and we saw they dumped, and then we see their scoreline and I was like, oh, that tracks. That's dumping. But yeah, in the 3-2s, it sounds like this was also the cap, and then they had to bring out a lot of dumps late game. But yeah, I think let's look for the TR of the anchor. I think that's an easy weakness to point to because who's that? The anchor, it probably Angel. Weirdly low for Angel, right? I thought she was normally quite a solid anchor.
She was a door defender, to be honest.
She was a door defender this comp.
Yeah,
Very strange.
I remember the door defender. Yeah.
So who was the anchor?
It was
that guy. It was probably that guy because people were saying that guy was in the anchor position because they were saying to me in chat. I was going to correct that. Sorry, I forgot about that. Apparently, it was Nickel and someone else out on attack first. Or Nickel.
Yeah, it probably would have been Gun and Nickel, and then I think Dragon was sometimes out on attack, and that guy would sort of be like third out sort of thing. He would come.
So that guy, last line more than Angel, often was a swap mid game when late.
Yeah, nice. So that guy would kind of get his bases really early and then swap out. Good stuff. But yeah, I will still echo. You want to be seeing some high TRs. Aubrey is at a very defensive maze. H2 is rough for sure, but again, you want to see some people on that team which are really pushing solidly above 1, and I think it's something that a lot of these bottom half teams are missing is having someone able to push those high TRs and be really, really consistent in that anchor position. Yeah. Let's go on to MVPs. Who have we got?
I had Angel for the exact same purpose as Kaz, because her on a door was just impossible to shoot. I don't know, like those 2 timing, the 2 from Canberra was actually crazy. I could not beat them anytime I went to the door. I mean, I'm repeating myself with basically what I said about Kaz, but I don't know, man. Their timing was just nuts. I just could not beat them. Call me bad, but I could have beat them. It was tough. It was a tough time. But Kaz, yeah, it's got to be Kaz.
Bro, can't even tell the difference between them.
PTSD, man. I got PTSD.
Oh man, go for it, XR.
I'm going to be boring and Mira pick that because, yeah, she gave me a worse time on that door.
Thank you. Like someone that can relate.
No, seriously, someone that said, like, they had to have 2 people in defense and we'd rock up with a 3-man attack and we'd just get crapped on. And I was just like, I might as well just quit laser tag. Yeah, Mira pick, basically.
Sweet as. I'm going to go that guy. He's a player that barely uses panels. Like he uses them, but not like conventionally or anything, and usually he just ends up wandering around and somehow diffing everyone around him at this level. Very funny to see, so that guy is always going to be my pick. Let's go for it onto the next teams. We had Sharks down 5. We'll try and breeze through this team, I think, because it was a tragic story for this team.
Yeah.
For anyone who's not aware, they were sitting quite high in the comp. I'll do the thing again. I'm going to skip through this and get to it because the main ones that I wanted to bring it up for, they only dropped 1 spot. No. Okay.
They
Cascade 2, they dropped a lot of spots. So they were sitting up in 10th while their team was healthy. They were playing really well. And then 2 of their players got sick, and it happened to be Method and Flash, who very influential players on the team. I mean, you look at their stats, you got an A and a double B, like very, very strong players. And with them both being sick, I mean, Flash only played 11 games and Method was out for finals. That hurts. That hurts really, really bad. The other 4 players locked in so well during finals. They were winning games as a 4 to make them not drop any further. But yeah, rough story for this team, just ravaged by sickness.
Yeah, they beat us with 4. It was like
Oh wow, you're one of the receivers.
I don't want to throw shade to Crows, but they gave them that win, man.
Oh, there we go. That is such cope. That is the
no, they gave it. Ask anyone on that team about that game. I walked out. Arbol looked at me.
Crows
like,
in the chat. Crows in the chat.
They were throwing. I swear to God, they were throwing. Arbol came up to me and he's like, "Sorry, man. Crows just threw it to us. Like they just gave us that win." And I'm like, "It's fine. Like I don't care. I mean, I do, but it's fine."
Man. You're telling me you don't have enough control of the game that you can't stop a team of 4 from being through in the win.
Wildcard's captain, man.
Not even have the 2 best players. Right. I bet you were out all game.
It was yeah, again, I didn't burst these guys that much. They were always like a little bit higher. I mean, we met them in Ascensions after they dropped like 5 places. But again, that was with 4, and they beat us. So they are better. Like with what they had, they did well, I think.
Yeah, and XR, did you verse these guys much? Again, I
think
wouldn't expect you to.
No, I think we versed them once in like round robin, and that was about it. That was when they had the full 5. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they smashed us. So
yeah, we're not gonna have any weaknesses or anything for this team because again, you guys didn't say much. I didn't say much. They were ravaged by sickness. Therefore, though, locked in so well on the last day. So let's swap it over. Go to MVP, shall we?
Mine's gotta be Rogue. Not even trolling. This guy, like when I like look at him, he doesn't look like he'd be a better player. Like the way that like you look at Flash and be like, that's a guy. This guy's fast. He's
Story of Dart's life. Walking up to old people, going, "Yo, shit, I'm gonna bin you." What? They shot me because they've been playing for years and they're really good. What is happening?
Exactly that. Like I go up to him and he was just out positioning me so well, and I'm just like, I can't do this. Like usually in the lower tier, I can just like sneak up behind someone and go crack a base really easily, right? But like I think he was the one door defender where I was just like, he was constantly just behind me and always like, I don't know, always there. It was just really hard to sneak past him. I would just go sweep and go Stinky's door because he wasn't. It was a little bit easier, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Rogue was just a pain in the ass to attack. I don't know.
As a weakness, I think even I could mirror that. You could just walk past Sneaky a little bit. Sneaky a little bit. But that's probably going to be the only one that we can point to on the team. Do they have an anchor? I mean, yeah, they do. It looks like Stinky. Wait, door defender Stinky? I don't even know what's going on, man. 1.13, that's confusing me. I don't know their structure. None of us know their structure. Do we have any sharks in the chat? I don't think so. Wild team, but let's move on to MVP, shall we?
Yeah. I'll go Arbol because he's like the only one that I've talked to, and I don't really know much of the other guys. I mean, I've been playing against them for years, but yeah, Arbol's always the one I have trouble most. I mean, he's always good performing. TR was a bit down this one, but I mean, it is what it is. A rough comp, right? Especially with the 4 that they had.
Yep, Dart, who you got?
I'm gonna go with Rogue. I already said this. You're trolling.
Okay, all good. Yeah, I mean you've said all the words. Cool. Let's. It was checking for a mystery pick. I'm going to quickly highlight Stinky. I think these past few comps, he's been struggling to adjust to the high tier, like the upper mid tier kind of thing, and he's been getting a bit carved up. But I think his stats so much better than they were the last few comps. And again, on that final day, I think he was one of the players where you saw him just lock in so well. Like Stinky was carrying this team, and he's like a new player on a team of goats. So really nice work from him, but I've got to give it to Method. Man's come off an ACL injury for like the past few years, and he's still bloody got it. He's still got it so good. So you'd love to see it. Let's go on to 13th, and I think this is going to be our final team of the night. It is going to be Rampage down 6. A bit of a similar story, I fear.
No, these guys played what they should have, I think. This is about accurate. No. I gotta. It's their fault, man. It's their fault. They didn't bring 6. I'm telling.
It's actually a little bit true, isn't it?
Yeah, I remember in the prediction stream, Firebird mentioned it, and he's like, "Yeah, these guys only have 5, so sickness can definitely play a huge factor in how these guys go." And I remember talking to Zam about it, and he's just he was like really annoyed at it. He's like, "This is stupid, bro. What do you mean? Like we're not gonna play well because we only have 5? Just rate us on how well you think we're gonna be. You know, don't." If all 5 of us get sick, we'll get last. You know, like that's and then they got sick and they like came 13. I just thought that was
specifically
hilarious.
one of their players couldn't play, so they had to play with 4. Yeah.
It was just so funny to see that it actually came true. I mean, these guys did well. I really thought these guys were going to get like top 5 or something this year. Even though they didn't really lock in at training or anything, they barely trained. They still seemed really good. And I was kind of hoping they'd play well and do finally get like beat Basilisk in Darwin, and finally get like a top 5 or something. But alas, oh well.
Yeah, I mirror that. I think they definitely could have made like top 5 easily. They were 4th from round robin, and then they just went down from there. Unfortunately, it is a bit of a sad story, but
Classic Rampage.
It is what it is. I mean, looking at the players they have on the team, these guys have always been fairly solid, especially with Spider with his insane GRC. AAA, none of their players are specifically any weak points. It's real. Like I said, Runt, it's a real sad story. Unfortunately, this is where they sit.
Now, this is actually the first team I can probably speak to. I've got weaknesses. Yeah. When they were playing properly, these were like these guys. It was so funny because, and it'll spiral into something that's not as toxic towards the end. But they would just send 2 people off the bat to just get destroyed. It was so brutal because they just send Peregrine and Zam to fight wars together. They'd just be like, 5-man D, yeah, you guys just go stand in the middle of it. And to be fair, Zam's captain, so he put himself in the middle of it. But he held his own surprisingly well for where he was playing, because they were just like literally trying to force bases off the get-go, even into really solid defenses, and then go, they're defending. We have those dirty bastards. So they're defending like with 5. How dare they?
We'll get them next time.
They're all trying to lose, and they're not attacking. But realistically, if you guys send 2 people off the bat, you guys should be absolutely punished for that in the Aubrey maze, which they were. You see Peregrine down at a 0.82 TR, and that's giving away so many points, both Zam and Peregrine. Even though you are, I think if you're holding the 1, you're at least like keeping your team in the points as much as you're giving away. But yeah, when you're bringing an attacker out with you and he's getting a 0.82, and it's like, and we're only sometimes getting bases, like quickly, it just meant they were just bleeding so many points, and that's how they were losing those top end games. They'd just send the attackers out, they'd get minced, and then they wouldn't dump or do anything fancy to recover it. They just send more 2-man attack, which again got them into that situation. Got them into that situation in the first place. And Aubrey, it's too brutal a maze to just be sending a 2-man attack out off the bat, because a 3-person defense should absolutely destroy a 2-person attack in Aubrey, which it was. And then the push players would come back, because it's even more free points if you just come farm the attackers at your base, and then you don't have to give any up, then you can starve the other teams. So seeing a 2-man attack come into your base off the rip in Aubrey, it's just music to your ears. You're just like, 3 points, other teams are starving, you love to see it. So that was their issue at the top end, but they figured it out on the second last day. They went, oh my god, if we just defend with the other teams and play a slow game and then save our attack for later and play a pack point game early on and give into the cringe, which is the meta, they did really, really well. And they started to play really well strategically when they were all sick. So it's like, man, like they were beating us when they were sick. It's like, yeah, if you guys play your game and you play it well, and like we made some dumb mistakes in that game, but like they were at that level. They were probably at that level when they were playing the meta of Aubrey. And that it wouldn't have been too little too late if they were well, and it is very sad to see because they figured it out. They stopped sending your boy Peregrine into fight wars, and then they all died, and Peregrine exited the competition when they figured it out finally. But yes, that's my round over. And it's been the case for many years where they were just sending their attackers to the wars. But hopefully in Sunny Coast they play a reserved game, open with the game as opposed to trying to open up too early, and they can really push some impressive results. Yeah, and Nightmare Rose as an addition is going to be awesome. You could chuck him under the base and then it frees Whippet up to play her doors. That would be awesome to see.
I don't think Whippet. Well, at least it's still unconfirmed. I don't know.
Before your time, mate.
I don't know if Whippet's going to be on this team next year.
Yeah, I mean, it's just maybe, but like if you get Nightmare Rose, it frees you up to do that sort of thing. Because Whippet used to be a door defender, and and she was great in that role. So having more options on the team would be really good. Anyway, what have you guys got? I stole this one when I was meant to just be the instigator.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super keen to see like Nightmare Rose on this team. I think I was talking to him, and he was really keen to finally play on a team where he doesn't have to think and he doesn't have to captain. Because on old Leviathan, he was always sort of the more experienced, more in charge one. I guess him and Tuscan a bit, but he was sort of the captain. And he's super excited to finally get on a team where he can just sit in last line and just last line. And I think that's really, really good. It'll allow him to like play better. Super keen for it. He's also, unlike Whippet, he's also kind of good at attack as well. So I think he's slightly more versatile, replacing Whippet. But I don't know, Whippet on a door apparently fucks. So I don't know. Maybe it all works out in the end, I guess. And they finally have 6, and they can't get sick. Yeah.
Cool. Let's go to MVPs.
I'd give a shout out to what's his face, Zam. I just mind blanked there for a second. Although like Spider has the crazy GRCs, crazy tag ratios, I think Zam actually captaining and running the game and then still like sort of like getting an A grading like is still nuts. I don't know. I feel like it's so boring to pick Spider. Spider's always there. Spider's a little tag ratio whore. He'll just go through the game for his tag ratio. No, I'm trolling. No, he doesn't. But sometimes he does. I don't know, man. That's just what I hear from them. I haven't made that conclusion. I'm not that smart. That's just what I hear from them. No, Zam did well. Zam like in attack. I mean, maybe he kind of threw for the first half of the comp, but yeah, I think he did well for especially captaining. Since usually it's Spider.
XR, what have you got?
Sure, I'm gonna go with it just because solid last line, hard to get out.
And those are the stats you want to see from a last line. You want to see those 1.58s.
Yeah, that's impressive.
She takes the role, makes it her own, and properly last lines in a defensive maze. You love to see it.
Bloody home side advantage, honestly.
How dare they stand behind the panels and shoot down the massive corridors that people have to run at you through? Anyway, anything to add? Sorry, XL, I definitely cut you.
Yeah, I've lost my train of thought now. Obviously, shout out to Spider as well, but I mean, can't just pick the best player, right? Unless you're going to do that.
It's all good. You got me here to do that because, again, he's doing it. He does it every time, but it's hard to do. It genuinely is very hard to pull those insane stats. He figures out the maze well. He figures out where to position. He figures out how to support the attack and steal these bases, and it's genuinely very, very, very impressive.
I should add, he did design the maze, so he did figure it out quite well.
Oh, so you guys aren't a home site team, but they are. Yeah, cope more, mate.
He made it, bro. He made it. He designed the whole thing. Not the whole thing.
And it takes 5 whole minutes to stand in the base and work out the lines of sight that he built. Home site advantage. Oh, man. So, yes, Spider is going to be my pick. And do we have anything to finish off on? I think that might cap off the review. Anything to add from you, gents?
No, RAM 13 page, I guess. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, no, not really. I mean, this was about 5 to 6 weeks ago, so we do apologize if we got something wrong. We're not god tier memory, plus I can just shade myself because I'm old and washed. But yeah, that's about it, really.
Too easy. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining me. I really appreciate it. It was awesome to have you two on. You guys gave amazing insight into this level of competition. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on the stream. And we are going to be back on again next week. I believe it will be next Saturday, but we still need to confirm that one. So stay posted to the LSA page. It's been fun to have the keys to the stream as well. But yes, thank you very much for watching, everyone. We will see you next week. Goodbye.
Heretics of the Alps.